If you want to learn the best mental toughness tips, you've got to learn from the best. And today I've got one of the best for you. It's the amazing, amazing Marc Pepin. So stay tuned and watch, and you'll learn a lot from Marc today. Hello and welcome. I've got a great show for you today. I've got the amazing Marc Pepin here, who is a tennis player. He's been in tennis for, I think, 6 decades now, if I'm correct. But I'll let
Yes.
him tell you all about that. So he's a senior player on the ITF tour, and he also does coaching on the side. So he's quite modest on that. I'm sure he does a lot of coaching as well. So before we get started, I want you to get a lot of value from this. So Mark's going to give you a lot of extensive knowledge and tips on his own experience, his journey. So I want you to take notes. I want you to subscribe. Um, and like and comment for more, because Mark's agreed to do a few videos for us, a little series, a mini series, which you can follow. If you like today's video, definitely like and subscribe, and there'll be more coming your way. So let's get straight into it. Hello, Mark. How are you doing today?
Good, Robert. Nice to talk to you again.
Good, excellent. Okay, I want to get stuck straight in because I'm sure everybody's kind of having some enthusiasm here, anticipation of what's coming up. So I'm going to go straight into it. I'm going to take you right back in time. Um, I want you to remember the very first time you thought of even picking a racket up, but hitting a tennis ball. What was it? Can you remember the exact moment?
Yes, 1964, we were living in Zweibrücken, Germany. Dad was in the Air Force, and him and Mom used to play every day on the red clay courts in Zweibrücken. And they used to bring me along, and I just would sit there and watch them for an hour or two on a little hill right beside the court. So after about a month of that, I said, "Look, Dad, if you're going to bring me to the courts, can you buy me a racket so I can at least play?"
Yeah.
And so what happened that we ended up moving to Bagotville, Quebec. Dad bought me a 499 Penguin racket, but there were no courts in Bagotville. So I hit against a wall, school wall, a little bit for a couple of years. And then in 67, when we moved to North Bay,
Yeah.
then I started to play more against the wall and also on the courts.
Uh, okay. And did you take to it straight away, or did you find it hard, or did you feel like giving up? What was the how did it pan out for you?
Yeah, so when I first got the racket, well, there were no courts in Bagotville, so
Mhm.
with no courts, I didn't have much interest for 2 years. So, I would hit against the school wall maybe two or three times a year. That was it, 65 and 66. Then when we moved to North Bay, there were tennis courts. So I was really excited to play,
Yeah.
but dad had a rule. He said, I'm going to allow you to play on the court if you can hit 20 balls in a row against the wall. So I spent the summer of 67 and 68
Uh-huh.
hitting against the wall. And the summer of 69, I was allowed to play on the court. And that was a big reward.
Yeah. Okay, and how did that feel whenever you were finally allowed to play? This is kind of the adult version. How did that feel?
Well, it felt really good because I remember when I finally hit 20 in a row, I thought, oh, great, I can play tennis on the actual court.
Yeah.
And Dad lined me up with the best junior in North Bay at the time in my very first match. And I didn't know what was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
I ended up winning 6-love, 6-love. So the love for the sport, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and then I kind of quickly realized that I had some talent in this sport. So it made me want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Were you surprised, even looking back now, were you surprised that six love, your first match? Does that surprise you?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I was very a bit shocked, surprised to tell you the truth, because he was the junior champion. I thought I was going to lose,
Uh-huh.
and I just didn't realize that I could hit well. I had no idea until I played that match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And what was your parents' reaction to that? Did they kind of play it down a little bit, or let's see how this goes, or were they really overjoyed?
Um, when I went into the match, I was a little bit nervous
Hmm.
going into it because I knew this guy was really good, and when I beat him love and love, and then Dad came to pick me up later. Didn't watch the match. He came
Uh,
to pick me up. Yeah, I was overjoyed,
Yeah.
and but with no expectations, and yeah, I was just going to enjoy the sport
Yeah.
in the forthcoming months. Yeah.
And I do know from our previous discussion, you played a lot of other sports too. Um, you know, you were at school. How long was it before tennis became the main focus of attention?
Yeah, that good question, Robert. So by 1969, I was still playing ice hockey, I was skiing, playing some volleyball, basketball, a bit of table tennis, badminton. I was playing all the other sports.
Yeah.
So kept doing it in 1970, 71. Even in 71, I picked up baseball.
Uh,
And 71, 72, I was playing baseball and tennis in the summer.
yeah.
And then, I quickly realized, well, I think I'm winning more tennis titles than baseball titles.
Yeah.
So I gave up baseball as a summer sport. So focused on tennis. And in the wintertime, I still kept doing the volleyball and basketball. But then as I got older, I dropped those sports.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, we didn't have indoor tennis. So to maintain my tennis, I played badminton and some table tennis during the winter sports.
Uh,
And later in life, when I was in my 20s, when we finally got indoor tennis courts in Fredericton, New Brunswick, I dropped every sport and just played tennis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how much of a factor of knowing that you're good at tennis had a natural ability, or did winning more often than the other sports have a major influence on you just concentrating on tennis?
Yes, because if you're continuously like I played soccer one year. I think we must have lost every game. Well, that wasn't much fun. I played
Yeah.
football one year in 1974. I think we won one game. So there's not much enjoyment when you don't have success.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that the success with my tennis made it more enjoyable. I mean, I enjoyed the sport,
Yeah.
but I also enjoyed the competition. And in the competition, of course, I enjoyed, winning those matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm also thinking, Mark, some of those other sports were like team sports. Was that a factor for you? Was it a matter of other people could let you down in a team, whereas tennis you're mostly by yourself and you're accountable for your own actions?
Yeah. Good point. So with the team sports, number one, I felt like when you're playing soccer or whether it be football or baseball, you're not in the action all the time.
Yeah.
So you might get the pop fly like once every 15 minutes, or in soccer, you might kick the ball once every 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
it felt a little bit boring. Tennis was very exciting because you're continuously hitting the ball,
Yeah.
every like 10 balls in a row, 30-second break, hit 10 more. So it just felt more enjoyable, and I was able to control it more. It felt like I was also thinking more.
Yeah.
Playing soccer and football, your mind gets kind of lazy because you're not going to see the ball for maybe 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
so concentration level would kind of disappear. But I find with tennis, it really helped my focus also
Yeah.
in life, and focus on the ball, focus on the court. I just think tennis, kept me in shape. It's just very beneficial to me as a human being. Yeah.
And the answer you've just give there, Mark, is that what keeps you motivated even today? You're still playing, you're still competitive, and when most people in sports have kind of retired from sport, so does that still keep you going? That same enthusiasm for the sport?
Yeah, so the enthusiasm for me is twofold. I'm 64,
Yeah.
and I think I'm pretty fit for my age. And my doctor basically said, "Mark, keep playing tennis
Yeah.
for cardiovascular. Your heart is really good. You'll live to be 100." So he said, "Keep playing.
Yeah.
Don't quit. You'll live longer." So that's a good motivating factor there.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't have any major injuries, so I'm able to compete and run after every ball.
Hmm.
And I'm still playing the ITF circuit and doing very well, having success. So that keeps me very motivated to play those tournaments.
Yeah.
So I'm playing every day to keep in shape, live longer, and enjoy the competition and have success. Yeah.
Good. Definitely a great role model for anybody watching this, Mark. That's why I love talking to you. So on that subject, who was your role model, or was there several as you were growing up? Even even in your younger days, or even as you got a little bit older, who were your role models and
Yes, I
why?
had three.
Three.
Yes. First one was, of course, my dad,
Yeah.
because he introduced me to tennis, and he was the perfect tennis dad. He didn't push me. He didn't force me to do anything. So very supportive of my tennis career.
Yeah.
And I looked up to him. And of course, he was a really good tennis player in his own right. And so was my mother. So that was my first role model.
Yeah.
Second role model was my coach, David Peers, who coached me basically from about 1971, about 1995.
Yeah.
David was living in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia when I moved there in 71, and he took me under his wing. And David was the type of coach who taught me how to win matches, not necessarily how to hit the ball, but how to beat a pusher, how to beat someone who serves volleys,
Yeah.
where to place the ball. He was very good with tactics,
Yeah.
a little bit with the mental conditioning, and then just by a fluke, Dad was transferred in the Air Force to Ormocto, New Brunswick in the summer of 75. And my coach, David Pearce, who was president of a bank, was transferred from Dartmouth to Ormocto that same summer. So
Yeah.
he continued coaching me for the next 20 years. So it was really
Wow.
great. So he was my second role model.
Yeah.
And David was a Canadian champion at one time. So he was a really good role model. My third role model was Larry Wood. Larry Wood was my practice partner, living in New Brunswick, Ormocto, Fredericton. And him and I practiced every day from 1975 till he got injured about 1993.
Yeah.
He had to quit tennis. But every day, we practiced, we trained. And, he was a really good role model because he was very calm. I liked the way he kept his calmness around the court, never got mad, and taught me a lot that way. So those three gentlemen were my three role models in tennis.
Yeah. I think you've been quite fortunate having three role models like that.
Yeah.
All a little
Yeah.
bit different, but all bring something different to help you in your journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about mentioned tactics there, how to beat certain players. How much of the knowing the good tactics and strategies actually help with the mental toughness? Take that pressure off. Just having a good strategy and awareness of your opponent.
Yeah. So good question. Another good question, Robert. So I knew nothing about mental toughness
Yeah.
until I lost this match in 1972 to a guy by the name of Don McVicker, and I knew nothing about tactics or mental toughness. And he beat me 8-7.
Yeah.
It was a 5-hour match. I mean, every ball was a moon ball. Like every rally was like 50 shots, and I was so devastated. I remember after the match walking up to Carol Gardner's house and plunking myself on a chair and just basically crying. I was so upset because I didn't know how to win. I didn't know how to beat this guy. I was so upset. And then David came up to me and said, "Look, when you play a moonballer, you have to either drop shot him, bring him to the net, or on a short ball, go to the net yourself with an approach shot and put away the volleys." So that coincided with mental toughness, because it's one thing for David to teach me how to beat a moonballer, but then I had to develop the mental toughness to actually do it. Go on the court and actually do the drop shot, make him run in, and then pass him or lob him or go to the net. So you develop your mental toughness. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. So by doing the tactics, by going to the net and hitting those volleys for winners, it's either you're in the present moment and you do it and you succeed, or you completely fail. And I'll be honest, I had no idea what was going to happen. And after that match, I never lost to Donnie again. So it was good tactics, and with mental toughness, I never lost to Donnie after that match.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you, what has been your biggest challenge in tennis through the years? What's the lowest point, if you like?
Okay, so I think the daily challenges are when you lose a match. Okay, so how are you going to beat this guy the next time you play them? But then I'm playing a tournament the next weekend in Chile. Then I
Yeah,
might lose to another guy there. So then the challenge is trying to figure out how to beat those players that just beat you. So then that's a daily challenge because I tour 11 months of the year, so I spent 11 months trying to beat some of these players that I've never beat yet.
yeah,
So that's what's called a daily challenge. But I think my biggest challenge, I got sick, got some sort of weird virus, 2005 to 2007. I had
yeah,
to take 2 years off of tennis. I lost 25 pounds. My mother was basically looking after me. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Geez, for a while there, I didn't even think I was going to live. So that was a big challenge because I had to come back
yeah,
from scratch in 2007. Like I was so weak, so out of shape. Yeah, I didn't even know if I was able to compete again
yeah.
because I thought I had lost so much. So that was my biggest challenge, but I overcome it. And by 2010, won the European Championship. And by 2016, I hit number one in the world in an age category. So yeah, so that was my biggest challenge.
That's some comeback.
Yeah.
And what do you think was the main factor from coming back from that illness to number one?
Yeah. So, no, okay. So it was a lot of little baby steps. So
Yeah,
hitting against the wall. Can I still hit a ball? And then I knew I had to put some weight on. So exercising, eating, and then I would start rallying with some of my friends. Maybe 10 minutes first time, half an hour, bring it up. Then I would start to play some practice matches. And then I remember entering my first tournament, Nova Scotia Open, really, really nervous
yeah,
because, I knew that I should win that tournament, but I knew that was my first tournament after a 2-year absence.
yeah,
So my mental toughness brought me through because I ended up winning that tournament. And believe it or not, my opponent was really, he knew I was struggling. And in the beginning of the third set, he says, "Come on, Marc, just hang in there. Don't give up. You can do this." So
yeah.
so if you can believe it, my opponent was actually cheering me on. Keep going. Don't
Yeah,
give up. And I think my mental toughness just helped in my recovery because it kept me focused, kept me motivated to
yeah.
try and get better and to get stronger. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Your opponent cheering you on. Is that something that you like about tennis? That there's a camaraderie in it?
Oh, there's a big camaraderie. Like when I'm on the tour, 11 months of the year, there might be 200 players at the tournament.
Yeah,
I would personally know about 100 of them, and out of the 100 of them, maybe 80 of them are really good friends,
yeah,
and about 40 of them, we talk. We might have a drink after the game. We might go out for dinner together, and we're always helping each other out. If someone needs a place to stay, I'll offer up my home. If I need a ride to the train station, another player will give me a lift.
yeah,
If I'm short $5, I can't pay for my meal. Tennis player is going to step in.
yeah,
If I need a wristband or set of strings,
yeah,
someone's always willing to help. So yeah, it's a very tight community,
yeah,
and I adore my tennis community.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes. Coming from yourself, Mark. Um, so I've asked you about your low point. What's been your high points? Even it doesn't have to be one. What's your ones that stick out in your mind, and tell us why they're the high points.
Okay, so several high points. I'd say the first one, 1978, when I won my first big title. It was the New Brunswick Championship when I was 20 years old in Fredericton. And I was just 20, and I knocked off the reigning New Brunswick champion. His name was Frank Flanagan, and he was a really good player, and it was an upset. I went 3 sets. It was a really good match. So that was my highlight because I never expected to win,
Yeah,
and it was a very joyful moment. So that was a big one. Another one would have been winning my first Canadian, national title indoors. That was a special moment. I think that was around 2000. if my memory's correct. So that was a special moment. Another special moment when I won that European title in Baden-Baden 2010. That was my first ITF title and a European championship. So that was a really, for me, huge moment, because that's on an international stage. So I've gone from being a provincial champion to a national to a European. But the biggest one, my fourth one and biggest one, would have been in 2017 when I was playing a tournament in Croatia, and I had to win it to become #1 player in the world in men's doubles. And my partner, Konstantinos from Greece, and we won the doubles, and I clinched the #1, ranking in the world. And that was my biggest moment ever, no question. Yeah.
And if you could go back in time, would there be anything you would change about your mindset, your preparation, your training, anything at all?
Yeah, I remember going to see a sports psychologist and a psychologist maybe around 2010, because I was starting to get nervous before matches. So, I kind of let that slip. I would enter a match. I'd be so nervous. It was really would actually drain my physical energy. So I wish I would have spoke to them 10 years earlier. So then I wouldn't have went 10 years of being nervous all the time. So that's a regret for sure. Yes. Yeah.
What do you think, Marc, that brought that on? It's when you get to a certain level, you're starting to get the #1 status. Does that put a lot of pressure, extra pressure on?
Yes. Yeah, that's what happened. So when I hit #1, it's almost like I have a target on my back. So everyone wants to beat you and knock you off. So every time I would step on the court, I could just tell that, my opponent really wants to beat me. I can just tell. So that would make me more nervous, because I thought, well, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose to this guy. So I better beat him. But then when you start thinking like that, you put more pressure on yourself. You're thinking more about not losing than playing the match and winning. So it was like, I can't miss a shot. Oh my goodness, what happens if I miss this shot? Then he's up 2-1, and so it put a lot of pressure on me. And I ended up playing like that for about 10 years, and some matches were just unbearable. I'd be so nervous. I'd actually play really bad. And well, thank goodness not all the time, but certain matches I was just too nervous to even play well. Yeah, it happened.
And what do you think? Obviously you were glad you went to see the sports psychologist, the psychologist. If you could sum up, what would be, how did they help you exactly? And if you were able to summarize it in a sentence or two?
Yeah, they helped me with techniques on how to keep my mind focused in the present, to not worry about the future, or not get upset with the past, with the shot that you just plunked into the net about 2 seconds ago. And breathing, meditation, and that did it.
And it all helped. And so for anybody watching this interview, either a young person that's kind of early in their career, or someone that's a little bit older, but they're kind of plateaued, or they're stuck, or they're starting to get nervous, what advice would you have for those players?
Okay, for any young player, if you love tennis and nobody's pushing you, and you love it for yourself, keep playing. It's a lifelong sport. You can play it your whole life. And if you play competition, don't give up. You can succeed. I mean, I never dreamt when I was a kid that I'd be provincial champion, Atlantic champion, Canadian champion, world champion, and in three different events. But it can happen. So don't give up. And if you're struggling, with mental toughness, there are people there to help you for sure. So get some help if needed, whether it's mental coaching, physical coaching, training, on-court coaching. Pursue your dream. That's my advice. Pursue that dream.
Good advice. And I love that I always think of that. Just don't give up. You know, if it is your dream, just don't give up, because you will get there.
Yes.
You know, some people get there quicker than others, but if it's your dream, you'll get there. As you say, Mark, just put the effort in. There will be highs and lows. You've got to keep going,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's all a learning experience as well. Um, we're coming to the end now of this particular interview, and I know you've agreed to do a few more, and we'll start to get into some techniques and scenarios. You know, when you're actually playing. So,
Okay.
we're looking forward to that. Is there any closing thoughts you have for the viewers that I didn't get? If I could have asked you something but didn't, what would you like me to ask you?
Um, I think you've covered it all. I would say the tennis players need to be open to different ideas. It could be different rackets, different techniques,
Mm-hmm.
open to new coaches, or how to hit a forehand, top spin a little bit harder. Like, let's just be open to change.
Yeah,
That would be the last thing I'd want to say. You have to be open to change to succeed. Yeah.
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 And there's one more thing that popped into my head as well, just on the back of that. What would you like to say to? Because I know parents, because your parents supported you when you were starting off. What would you say to
Yeah.
parents? Because I know people sometimes they get a bad rap, and sometimes
Yeah.
that's justified, but not all the time. People just want their kids to do well, and they travel around the country and they pay a lot of money. What advice would you give to parents in regards to their child doing better?
Yeah. Okay. So what I've noticed, and this is from a lifelong experience of watching parents with kids, I would say what works best is a non-confrontational approach with your child towards the sport. If your child is playing a tournament, go to watch it, but don't get angry. When he loses a point, and if he loses the match, don't chew him out. Be very positive. Don't say too much. Encourage your son or daughter, but
Mm-hmm.
don't push the negative. Keep it positive. Don't go overboard with any negative thoughts.
Yeah,
Just keep it positive and keep it low key. Yeah, that
good.
would be
Great
my
words of
advice.
great words of wisdom. So thank you for your time today, Mark. As I say, we will catch up again. Is there any if you got a number or email you would like anybody to use if they need some coaching?
Let's see. Yeah, my email is pepindj68 at gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put that in the comments as well, just for anybody
Okay.
to kind of copy down. So thank
Yeah.
you for today, Mark. If anybody was watching this, was inspired by Mark's interview, uh, as I say, like and subscribe for more content, and there'll be more in this series coming up. So thank you very much once again, Mark.